Get this man some help.
Stop it. Get some help.
A Blazers podcast.
Welcome back to Get This Man Some Help. Your weekly-ish dose of two basketball dads' deep inner thoughts and wisdom regarding your Portland Trail Blazers. Now, you might think to yourself, the Blazers are not in the playoffs. The Helpies, the much anticipated Helpies, have been awarded. What are we doing back here, Sean?
We've got nowhere else to go. To answer the very important questions, what are our Blazers going to do?
Yeah.
Is Sean ever going to shave again? No.
Uh-huh.
No.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
It's just less noticeable with me. Because it's sparse.
Sorry.
Yeah. So what I wanted to talk to you about today, aside from the fact that, the Blazers knocking down our door, trying to get get their hands on these awards.
Yes.
But we're talking to our foundry guy.
Where are they? We were promised
with
some
copper
hardware.
Or iron.
We got nothing.
Yeah. So there are a few teams who have flamed out in various iterations and aspects, including the Milwaukee Bucks, the New Orleans Pelicans, who were never there to flame out to begin with, and the Memphis Grizzlies.
Okay.
These are three teams with premium names on their roster. We're not talking knockoff. This isn't Kirkland's signature. These are the real brands. These are Ja Morant.
Yeah.
Signature shoe deal.
Sure.
Zion Williamson.
Mm-hmm.
Giannis Antetokounmpo. Okay, these are real premium names.
Yeah.
And there's as fans everywhere want to do, we start to imagine. We start to fantasize.
Oh, having the big name fever dreams.
Exactly.
Sure.
I don't want to start from least likely to most likely to be available.
Oh. And
I'm going to say, and I think you'll agree, Giannis is probably the least likely to be available because he's under contract for another, 4 years.
Yeah.
And they don't own any of their picks, so trading him away, we own picks. New Orleans owns the Milwaukee picks, but they don't own it. There's no incentive for them to be bad fast.
Yeah, so the Milwaukee thing is interesting because momentum is such a weird thing, and the momentum is definitely Giannis is going to go.
Yeah.
And Giannis strikes me as the kind of guy who is actually checking his phone, reading the headlines.
Yeah, for sure.
And I do think the sort of constant, Giannis is unhappy, even if Giannis isn't that unhappy, that might make him a little more unhappy and might push him to make a move. I think the thing that really complicates that is Damian Lillard getting hurt.
Yeah.
Because he's got an injury where he's going to try to come back as soon as he can, but he might be out all of next season.
Yeah.
And if you're the Bucks, you kind of think to yourself, well, if we get rid of Giannis, we still have Dame, so maybe we can build around Dame. So instead of going a rebuilding project, we're just sort of a refocusing project.
Right.
But now that Dame's going to be gone for maybe an entire calendar year,
I
mean, it makes the sort of getting rid of Giannis a lot less exciting,
right.
For the team.
Yeah.
So that's going to be it'll be an interesting thing to see. I think that if you're Milwaukee, you absolutely do not want to get rid of Giannis. But if you're Giannis, maybe you're going to force the issue.
As these things go, always, it's going to be mostly up to Giannis.
Yeah.
I do think they did what we always wanted the Blazers to do, which they got Giannis the help he needed.
100%.
They were able to win a title, but in the cost of doing business, and this you see this over and over again with teams, the Cavs at the end of LeBron's tenure, you have to trade away the future to give yourself a chance for the now.
Yeah.
And now their future is gone. We own their future. New Orleans owns their future.
Yeah.
And so what I want to know is Giannis to Portland. We probably have to gut the kitchen,
Well, here's the sort of ironic thing about that. Yeah. If they decided that they were going to get rid of Giannis, we actually could provide a pretty impressive package, but it would look like the package that Dame was sprinting to get away from here in Portland. It's Jeremy Grant, Anthony Simons, maybe Robert Williams, possibly Matisse Thybulle, maybe Shaedon Sharp. You know what I mean? But
and some of our own picks, but also the picks that we would control of theirs.
Draft picks and swaps basically until 2031 or whatever. But yeah, it would basically make the Bucks the team that the Blazers would have been this year, and I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I mean, I feel bad for poor Dame.
Yeah.
You know, he
I
wakes up
was
from his
gonna do
nightmare,
this.
and all his buddies are back.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think it's realistic, but I wanted to do a thought experiment. How would you like cheering for Giannis?
Oh, it would be tough. It would be tough. It would be real tough. You know, the 18-second free throws. I mean, there's just the thing about it is he seems like a lot.
He seems like a lot.
I mean, he's I still think he's probably a top 5 NBA player.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, and he's durable. You know what I mean? He's just a tank.
Yeah.
Yeah, he seems like a lot. He just seems, and you know, quite frankly, the team would have to change. At the end of this season, the Blazers finally established an identity.
Yeah.
Right? A tough defensive team that loves to run.
Yeah.
And Giannis is not interested in a lot of defense. I mean, he'll run a little bit, but he's like a black hole. Like, if you throw the ball to Giannis, that ball is not coming back to you or anyone else.
The hard thing about it is when he's at his best, that's what he's doing. You know, he's bully ball. He's getting to the rim. He's not passing it up because he can draw 3 or 4 guys,
100%.
Get fouled on the way there.
Like it's nothing.
But aesthetically, for me, it's not a pleasing product. It's not something I'm excited about watching. You're right. The 2 hours it takes him to shoot free, like all of a sudden the Blazers are going to open up like multiple more advertising blocks because they're like, hey, look, you know, I think that's my least favorite of the long shot. Like, we get the brand name guy just because I know he's the dude, but for me, it's just it would be a little hard to root for because I don't know, it's just like the same thing run down your throat. And you know, he's like a afternoon Disney show. He's just a lot.
Yeah,
he's a lot.
Yeah, there are times where I watched him one time. He got the rebound and started his own fast break, and got from one rim to the other in like 7 steps, which is crazy. It's so crazy. Like, part of that is like, oh man, like pairing that with like Scoot and Denny. Like, maybe that'd be kind of fun. But then there are the sort of, you know, the bulk of his points come from, I'm going to get the ball and I'm going to take 3 or 4 guys to the rack with me. Yeah. And I'm going to go on top of their head. And that's just not
the thing.
It's not that fun.
When I'm watching him, that galls me the most. He doesn't have touch.
Oh, no.
Or he doesn't have, I mean, he obviously has, you know, magnitudes better touch than most people. But like, in terms of like those elite players, he's missing the gimmies and stuff. Which I find really frustrating.
But again, when you can grab the ball at the 3-point line, take 2 steps, then dunk on 4 people, you kind of don't need a lot of touch.
Yeah, and get your rebound if you miss it. You know. And a lot of times when you are, you know, when you're not paid to watch NBA games, you end up only watching the teams that come to play your team. So
that's right.
I'm conditioned to see Giannis in a certain light.
Sure.
And where he is just torching, just like ripping out our throats by going down the middle over and over and over again. And I guess if you're the Bucks, you're like, you can't wait this out for Dame to come back, because even when Dame was healthy, it wasn't a great situation.
Yeah,
there wasn't a great amount of chemistry. Okay, moving on. The next one that I think is the most available on that list of three brand name premium stars is Ja.
Yeah, I've got some feelings about that. I think Ja Morant is a very talented player.
Very talented.
I cannot dispute that. It's weird, though. Like, if you're the Grizzlies and he goes through the I'm pulling guns out on people in the strip clubs or whatever, and you keep him, and then he keeps doing it, and he's got the 50-something game suspension, and you keep going, and then he's doing the gun celebration thing, which is why you even doing that, and then like that real passive aggressive, okay, I'm not going to do the gun celebration, so I'm going to throw a grenade. Like, what? Bud, what are you doing? Like, that is not, to me, that has not shown any maturing, you know. But they fired their coach for Ja, it turns out. Like, they are really pot committed to him. Yeah. But I feel like maybe the longer they go, the more they realize maybe this guy is not going to grow up. Yeah.
To me, he's like the inverse of Giannis.
Yeah.
Whereas Giannis, if you trade for Giannis, the beauty of it is that you know he's going to show up every day.
Yeah.
You know he's going to be healthy for the most part, and you're going to get, and he's still relatively young.
Yeah.
But Ja is the reverse, where it's like you never know if he's going to be there and he's going to be right. But when he's right, he's one of the most fun players to watch.
Yeah. Yeah. He's fun. Yeah. He might be maybe the most fun player when he's, but again, You've got his physical health because he takes just a huge amount of bumps. Like, and even he said, like, I have to kind of stop dunking, and you know what I mean? Because I'm breaking my body.
Yeah.
And then there's the off the court stuff.
Yeah.
I just I don't know, man. I'm not a huge fan of thinking about that guy on my team. He's a guy I actually like watching on the other team. Like, I appreciate watching him for the fun of basketball on the other team, but I'm not sure, you know.
Yeah.
It's like those old Mazda 8s with the rotary engine. Like, I mean, they're fun to watch drive around, but when you own one, and then you got to do all the maintenance and got to worry about blowing the thing out every time you shift into third gear. Well, it's a little less fun.
You know what? So last night I went to my kid's baseball game, and there was another, tween-aged child there, and he had his bike, and he had stuck a water bottle in the front tire, between the front tire and the fork.
What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah. So when he rode, it was extremely loud. And like, he was having a blast.
Sure.
Was anybody else in the park having a blast?
No, sir.
No.
No.
That's sort of what I feel like with Ja. It's like, you are having a great time, but is anybody else here having fun?
Seems unlikely.
Yeah.
Seems unlikely. Okay. Yeah.
All right, we move on down the list. We have Zion.
Okay.
The
most gettable, I think. The most gettable out of the
I think so
names,
too. Yeah. And he's been brought up in a situation in New Orleans, which is not, I think, the most, well-run organization.
The thing about New Orleans is, on paper, it looks like, oh man.
Yeah.
Like, it's a very interesting experiment.
Yeah.
But when it comes to sort of actual practice, they just seem to stumble and fall at every... And a lot of it is just bad luck with injuries. You can't really control that. But yeah, they had this like really sort of interesting and enticing mix of guys, and they traded Anthony Davis and got just a boatload of stuff back for him. And but yeah, they've never been able to like make it work, which has been for me kind of frustrating because I mean a couple of seasons now I've been really excited, like, oh man, this is a team to watch here.
Yeah,
and they just can't do it, just cannot do it.
They have multiple guys who have seasons where you're like, uh-oh, something's cooking there. Herb Jones, Trey Murphy.
Yeah.
Multiple guys where you're like, wait a second. But from what I read, they're an organization that the ownership group is more in the football team more into the football team they own.
Yeah.
But and also, I don't know how much this has. I've been to New Orleans. It's an extremely fun place to be. And if you are a person who likes to have fun, it might be hard to focus on basketball. It's one of the most fun experiences I've ever had. But I came back from that week and I had lost like 5 years of my life.
Yeah. It's a place that's you're there for a good time, not a long time.
Yeah, exactly.
And I just think that from the beginning, the minute they got Zion, they very much fumbled his entire his medical stuff and the sort of off the court stuff. And he seems like a decent enough kid. I'm not saying that he's like a problem or anything. But I just think taking a kid like that from, he's from like rural South Carolina or whatever, and like toss them in the middle of New Orleans with a huge contract and, the weight thing. And I just, there's a lot they could have done, I think, to help him, approach his journey a little more smoothly.
Yeah. I have an anecdote about that. A friend of mine is friends with a player's wife who's on the team. Mm-hmm. And they went and they were able to go through sit through the special section or whatever. And at halftime, they had just the craziest buffet, they said.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
For available to players and staff and family and friends. It was just this crazy buffet of like crab legs and all this stuff. And I'm just like, okay, I don't know if that's like the perfect setting for a guy who's, you know what I mean?
Listen, so I had the opportunity. I could have moved there a long time ago. And since then, I'm thinking about it. I could have died in 13 different ways, not including the hurricanes.
Yeah.
Like, there's just that many things that can go bad for you in a city like New Orleans. And all of them pleasurable deaths. Don't get me wrong.
You would just be, you'd be the leader of the parade. You would have been, 100%. Man, what would have happened to, Sean? That's
I've seen all 4,527 alternate realities.
Yeah.
And only one ended with me not dying.
Yeah. Okay, so what do you think about Zion on our team? I mean, you'd have to give up stuff, obviously, but if you could get Zion and keep, Scoot, Shaden.
Well, then the thing is, if he becomes like a diminished asset, you know what I mean? Like if they just
like a Damian was towards the end.
Yeah, kind of so.
Yeah.
Like, if you can get him from some of the veteran pieces that you're going to get rid of, you can get Jeremy Grant, Anthony Simons, and maybe a first-round draft pick plus one swap.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that, that seems like it's worth the risk. But the problem is, I mean, this guy, he almost dies every, 6 games. Like, some, catastrophic injury.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't know. Plus, again, the Blazers are a defensive first run offense team.
Yeah.
And Zion's not playing defense. He doesn't rebound.
Yeah.
I mean, for a guy who's that big and that strong to
But he has games where he does those things. And he gets kind of switchy.
I mean, he tries on occasion, but again, he's always hurt. It's hard to be the guy that we think he can be when his ankles are gone and his knees are gone. And, I mean,
you could just see 50-year-old Chris Paul lining up Shaedon Sharpe and Zion Williamson and just sidestepping through them.
100%. Yeah, just absolutely like it's nothing. And you're right. At 50 years old, he's still just absolutely giving them the wood.
Well, I ate legumes today.
No.
But okay, so but the hope, the hope with that is you get Zion in here. He's close to the Nike mothership. Famously, when he was recovering from one of his injuries, he came and lived in Beaverton because they were like, "You need to." Nike's like, "We've backed up the dump truck." Yeah, exactly. So the hope is you get him here. He's in the system. He's gets himself right. Honestly, a fraction of the fun to be had here in Portland. So all of a sudden he's he's eating whole bowl.
Yeah, he's hanging out with Matisse Thybulle. They're doing yoga meditations.
Matisse Thybulle and him are talking about Stoics.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, it might be good. Yeah, it's like if you told me you could guarantee we'd get healthy Zion for 60 games.
Yeah. Yes. I say go. I mean, it depends, right? If it depends on where we land. So much depends. It's like that, William Carlos Williams. So much depends on the rain on the wheelbarrow. I ate the plums in the icebox.
Mm-hmm.
So much depends on this draft pick. Where do we land?
Right? Yeah.
Where do we land? Because if it's if it's where we think we're going to land and we're in the 10th spot or whatever, trade it away. Whatever. But if it's hey, we got lucky and now we have a chance to get VJ the Edgecombe or that Ace Bailey kid, all of a sudden it's well, I don't know.
Yeah, those top 4 or 5 picks are, I think, all going to turn into something pretty spectacular.
Yeah.
So, all right. I don't know. Like I said, if you'd asked me this 2 years ago, it would have been a no-brainer. You get Zion, whatever you can do. I don't care.
What? I want to Zion. How your favorite player is the player who doesn't look like a player.
Yeah, 100%.
Zion is borderline. He's the weirdest guy because some nights you look at him and you were like, you are Thanos.
Yeah.
With the final Infinity Stone.
Yeah. And
some nights you're like, yeah, I can see you at the wreck.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, that's the frustrating thing. That's what I just don't understand. And I'm not saying this to shit on Zion at all. But he and I have very similar body types. And I can tell you 100%, if they would just get his diet under control.
Yeah.
Because a lot of, I mean, I'm not saying this to be cute. I'm not saying this to be funny, but literally a lot of what you're seeing is bloating.
Yeah.
His diet is shit, and you can tell by watching him. Because some games, when he's got his stuff together, he looks like a Greek statue.
Yeah.
And then 2 games later, he looks like me. And you can't, that's just a diet thing. James Harden went through the same thing. Yeah. There were games where James Harden would show up looking like my Uncle Leroy. Just kind of beer gut, this whole thing. It's just
apologies
diet.
To Leroy.
It's a shout out to my Uncle Leroy. But it's diet related, man. They just get this guy on a regular, a good, solid diet. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot you can do. But no, I mean, I'm looking at him no, this is me. This is this guy, we might be related.
Yeah.
Every man in my family has the same thing. You eat too much, you eat too many ribs, you show up to work the next day, needing a uniform that's the size big.
Yeah. Can I get the tailor in here? Luka to the Lakers, one of the narratives is hey, he's going to come under the church of LeBron. Mm-hmm. He's going to learn how to eat right. He's going to make annoying videos about his one glass of wine,
mm-hmm.
but that's it.
Yeah.
So, and that's still, TBD. We don't know if that's actually going to happen for poor Luka. He looks like he's very tired in the face when he's playing these games.
Well, I mean, he is because he's playing like 40-something minutes a game.
True.
And he looks tired. But yeah, I think Luka's another guy. He's a little insulin resistance in his genealogy. You know, welcome
A1C
to the family.
is a little high. A1C is just a little touch high.
Exactly. I mean, that's the human body being a human body.
Yeah. You know how you get sugar ants? I don't know if you get sugar ants.
Yeah,
I get sugar ants every year.
Yeah.
And I also have 2 kids who are absolute just chaos machines. And they'll be like, "Can I put honey in my tea?" Sure. How much honey's on the counter? A lot of honey's on the counter.
Honey, yeah.
So then I come back from dropping them off at school, and there is an absolute party of sugar ants.
Yeah.
Just around that honey. That's Zion when he first came out. It's like, this guy's a sure thing, right? Then you wipe up the honey. You wipe up the ants. You kill the 125 ants. But the signal's already out. Zion's a good player. It's already out there.
Yeah.
So the ants keep coming to the spot. Okay, this is a very tenuous metaphor. I'm going to keep going with it.
Keep going. Power through it.
You come back, 30 minutes later, a bunch of ants are at a spot where there's no honey. So then you wipe up those ants, boom, you got rid of 40 more. Now you come back an hour later and there's one ant with its face into the counter.
Yeah.
Face just headbutting the cat like I was told there was honey.
Yeah.
We're close to the Pelicans being like, "Please, Zion." Like I'm banging my head against the counter. You could be the mother lode. You could be the guy. Like Zion could be the best player on a championship team.
Yeah, I think so.
I firmly believe that. Like when
so.
he is right,
it
is absolutely electric.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's nobody staying in front of that guy. So you're hoping that you get him at the low. The Pelicans are like, "Fine, there's no honey here."
I see where you're going.
You see what I'm
wait
saying?
for the Pelicans to become the last ant.
The Pelicans are the last ant.
I see. Yeah, well, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, they are a poorly enough run organization that they might just decide, all right, we're just going to cut bait and start from scratch. I mean, it could be. And, hey, like I said, if you can get cheap. But my one concern is that they will try to hold on to like a stupid asking price.
Sure.
Because I think, here's my line. Like the delineation.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a player you'd be willing to trade Shaedon Sharpe for?
Yeah.
Now, would you include Shaedon Sharpe in a package for Giannis? I kind of think you do.
Yeah.
As much as I might not want to see him here.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, I think you get, the only untouchable person for me in that trade is Tumani.
Yeah.
Maybe Denny. But everyone else, if you can get Giannis, I think you kind of have to try it. But with Zion, I mean, you getting rid of Shaedon Sharpe if it brings in Zion?
Well, no, I don't think you do, because the health thing is such a worrying part of that. The thing is, I always tend to over-index the players that we have because I grow emotionally attached to them.
Sure you do.
Which is tough. And we
it's
know.
It's like a kid trading toys. No, this is my favorite toy. And then you pick up another one. Well, no, that one's also my favorite toy.
Yeah. And then, can I have so-and-so over for a play date? Well, he can't play with my toys.
That's right.
Well, what are you going to do?
Well, he's going to watch me play with my favorite toys.
What are you guys going to do?
Yeah.
So I understand that prejudice, but the highs that you glimpse with Shaedon are still so intoxicating, and he's still so young. I don't know. It's tough. That's why we're not Joe. And, speaking of a guy who holds on to an asking price that's too low, have you met Joe Cronin?
Yeah.
They're even too high.
Let me tell you, I was actually, as every basketball fan does, got on the old GM machine.
Sure you did.
And, as you do. And the Blazers actually have a lot of tradable assets, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they've got Robert Williams, DeAndre Ayton, Matisse Thybulle, Anthony Simons, Jeremy Grant.
Yeah.
I mean, all 5 of those guys, are worth something.
Yeah.
And we've got a lot of the Chris Murrays of the world that we can throw in to make salaries work.
Rayon Rupert.
Sure. So, I mean, the Blazers got a lot. They got a full deck to trade with. And, we'll see. We'll see what that man does.
Delano Banton brings back.
Yeah, well. Poor Delano.
Justin Minaya. I'd have a cup of coffee,
I want to meet that guy. I just want to know, because I need to know. Bud, what are you doing?
What if you met him and you're like, you are the most amazing hang? I can see why you're in the locker room.
I mean,
probably.
Maybe so.
Yeah.
Maybe so. I mean, I just, I'm curious. Also, there's a fourth name I'm kind of surprised you didn't bring up.
Well, I would love to know. That's because Jokic's team has played himself out of it.
Listen.
Because they were on the borderline for that. And then I was like, man, Jamal Murray all of a sudden looks like he's back to form.
The craziest thing about the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah.
Jokic, in my opinion, is the greatest basketball player in the universe
Yeah.
Shea's probably going to win the MVP this year, but Jokic should win the MVP this year. He should be a 4-time MVP, and I'm not going to. I entertain no arguments. I entertain no arguments. But that team lives and dies with Jamal Murray.
Mm-hmm.
In a way that's such a weird dynamic they have. Like, you can have Jokic, he can go for a 40-point triple-double, but if Jamal Murray's playing like shit, that team loses. If Jamal Murray's playing good, that team wins. And that is just such a weird dynamic to be in. And it's got to, I mean, for Jokic, it's got to be kind of like you're my friend, I like you, but to sort of be attached to you at the hip is a little nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But no, Jokic is going to stay in Denver.
Was that your fourth name?
No.
Okay.
My fourth name was someone, it's weird, who is constantly the source of like trade rumors and is still playing at a very high level, but I have not heard hardly anything anywhere about him for like a month.
Yeah.
It's Kevin Durant.
Yeah. Well, I didn't include Kevin Durant for a simple reason of that. I think you're in the final stages of the runway with that guy.
Yes.
And I don't think we're there. I think the reason why you would trade for, talk yourself into Zion, Ja, or Giannis is the prime window is still open for about 4 or 5 more years, right?
So what you're saying is you think even with a superstar player, the window we're still maybe a year or two away.
I mean, I don't know. What do you think?
I kind of agree with you. Durant's funny because he's a guy who could play until he's in his 40s.
Sure.
I mean, his game lends itself to because his game and his body type. Yeah. He's also a guy who might just say, the hell with it, I'm done. I want to retire.
Oh, I don't think so. He loves basketball.
I think that's right, but also, I mean, he's got his hands in a lot of other fires.
Business.
Yeah.
He's getting burned by a lot of.
Well, I mean, that's
okay. I think Durant is a guy.
But at this stage in his career, is he gonna move the knee? Is he still the guy, or does he need to be like a second or third guy?
He needs to be when he's on the Olympic team. Like, he's a guy who I think needs to go into mercenary mode.
Yeah,
and he needs to sign with LeBron on the Lakers or whatever. I don't know what his contract situation is, how many more years it is, but I could see him being like, I have no loyalty, I have no friends. And I'm going to go to whatever team, you know what I mean? Just
signing Durant for the league minimum.
Yeah. And he's just going to be like, I don't care. I love basketball.
Right.
And I want title hunting now.
But see, the thing about it is he seems like a weird enough guy that he may be like, fuck it, I'll just go to the Wizards for a year. Like,
that's like his home team. Yeah.
Yeah. Why not? Let's get, we'll get, let's get a little weird.
Thing. I mean, Durant, I don't know.
Utah Jazz, you say? Sure.
I mean, I just feel like
me and Jordan Clarkson.
I think he's like sneaky cooked. Durant, I'm sorry. I don't know.
He played great, though. He was the only guy on that team that played well the entire season.
If you play great, but your team still can't make the playoff, like, I don't know. There's something about that that's like, you had Devin Booker and you. That should be enough to make the
Well, you know who? I hate to say it because I actually like this guy a lot as a person, but I think Bradley Beal was like a wet blanket on that team.
Well,
I think the minute he said, you can't trade me.
Yeah.
Like, they went from like, we still might have a shot to no, never mind. Never mind.
When you go to a party and there's one guy at the party who nobody wants to be at the party.
Yeah.
But the guy either just doesn't care, but it's like awkward, but he doesn't. Like, Bradley Beal just must have the thickest skin.
He's really,
like, nobody wants you here.
Incredible.
Yeah.
He's the guy at the party. He's cornering you. Yeah. And he's a close talker. He's getting right up in your face, and he's telling you all about
about sumo wrestling.
Yeah. All the shit you don't care about. Well, I have a yeast collection. You would be surprised. And just like, nice enough guy, but man, get out of here.
You made me snort. That's the first snort, I think. Yeah. Well, if Jokic was ever available, that's the dude I trade. Literally everybody on my team. You can have it all. You can have it all.
I would love to know what he could actually command. If the Nuggets, just for shits and giggles, if the Nuggets said, all right, we're taking trade offers, I want to know what the most ridiculous trade offer they could probably pull for Jokic.
Yeah.
I mean, you might get a team to run all their draft picks.
Yeah.
Like, literally, we'll trade you the 4, we'll swap the other 3.
Yeah.
Because
he's a guy who resurrected Russell Westbrook. He got Bruce Brown, like a huge contract. Like, and what is Bruce, I mean, he just makes people better.
Yeah.
And he could elevate so much Anyway,
he turns any team into an immediate contender.
Yeah.
And again, like I said, the whole weird dynamic there with Jamal Murray, I just, it's so weird to me because you gotta got that like that. But no, it's Jamal Murray. Like,
all right, I want to end the podcast here with pour one out for Damian, and I want to know what your favorite Damian memory is. I have one ready. If you're not ready, do you have one that you want to? Because there's nobody who means as much to the Blazers in my era as I was a little young for the Clyde Drexler stuff, but Damian was a part of the Blazers in such just a deep enmeshed way that he brought so much pride to this organization. He put us on the map, like little stuff, like the fact that he was in Allstate commercials, the fact that he had a signature shoe with Adidas, the fact that he kept going to the All-Star game. These things felt like a big deal for a small market team, and he did it in a way that felt authentic. It felt like he was a part of the community. That picture of him on the Burnside Bridge during the protests, these things that he did are iconic, and they're going to live forever. And we've talked about how he's going to have a statue. I've told this before, but I'll briefly tell it again. During that OKC series where Russell Westbrook and him are chirping back and forth, and at the time, people don't remember, but Russell Westbrook was a bona fide MVP caliber player, top 5 player in the league. The kind of guy who, he could talk shit and it felt like Damian talked right back to him in that series, did not back down an inch. I was sick for the final game. I was terribly sick, and I was lying in bed, and I was watching the series on my phone, and everybody else in the house was asleep, and I was just up, miserable, sick, watching the series. And Dame gets the ball, does the step back on Paul George, launches this absolute trebuchet, flamethrower to end not only the Thunder's season, but that iteration of the franchise.
Yeah, it blew him up.
Just an incredible shot. And he struts around the court. He is peacocking in the best absolute way, where you were like, this is our town. And I was cured. I kid you not. I was fine after that. My fever passed. I was absolutely 100% healthy. And Damian Lillard cured me. And I don't think this is, I think it's too early to say like what the next chapter of his career is going to be or what's that going to look like. But I just want to appreciate in the moment. This is a guy who brought so much to the city, and I wish him a speedy recovery and all the best things.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. I think if anyone can come back from it, he will, and he'll probably, like I said, he'll probably do it in a much shorter time frame than everyone expects, because that's just who he is. Yeah, I think that Oklahoma City game. I mean, if you follow me on any of my socials, that is still, my background image of him staring into the camera after just ending an entire franchise, which is pretty incredible. Like the game he had against the Rockets, where he went for what did he get, 60 something?
That's a good one.
Just because you saw him in his final form, like you watch his career, you watch him in Rookie of the Year, you watch those first couple of years where he got snubbed for the All-Star team, and clearly was like, that just makes me stronger. You know what I mean? Yeah. You watch him hit all the heroics, dragging these dog teams to the playoffs year after year. And then, he goes into Houston, and it just, everything clicked all at once. And you watched him like, oh my God, this is a guy who is the very, very peak, the very, very top of his craft. He's moving like Neo in the Matrix. No one can stop him. No one can get, he's 2 seconds ahead of everyone. And even like after the game, him just sitting there, being like, oh yeah, this was really easy. I just love that so much. Like that was just a perfect, this is our guy. This is our guy at his best. And it was just, that whole game was just a joy to watch. Yeah.
And he never went into the offseason satisfied. No. He always came back with another wrinkle in his game. Whatever kind of thing that he was lacking, he would work on it. And he'd come back, and all of a sudden, now he's splitting those double teams, and he's finding the wing guy. Yeah. And all of a sudden, now his finishing's a little bit different. Wait, does he have more bounce now? Like all these things, every year he'd come back with something new. And I remember the first time that I was like, it went from being, this guy's cool to like, this is my guy, was he had a game his rookie season against the Lakers, and he went off a little bit. And you could see Kobe being like, oh, like, oh shit, like recognize his light. And after the game, he had this quote where he's like, that boy was cooking with gasoline.
Yeah.
It was the first time I ever heard anybody say that. And I was like, okay, this is starting to feel real.
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah. Watching his career was it's sort of like being on the home team and watching him sort of, because you knew he was going to be good, but and like you said, just watching him sort of at the end of every season, like taking it all in and being like, well, I'm coming back better, like the Terminator. I'm going to come back better. I'm going to come back better. And the first time he confidently started taking like those 34-foot.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Because the thing about it is, young Damian Lillard was, like a slam dunk contestant. I mean, it was all about explosiveness and get ups. And then, like you said, he sort of started doing the thing where he'd split any screen, any double team. He could split any double team in a way that I have not seen before or since. His ability to split a double team, like it just uncanny ability to get past guys. And then you start to watch him become like a sharpshooter. And then he's further back, and now he's Dame time.
It's a thing. It'll always be a thing, and we want to wish him the best for him. So I guess maybe we'll, if we come up with some other contrived thing to talk about, we'll talk about it next week. If not, we'll see you after we know the draft order. Which is the most exciting stuff.
Fingers crossed.
Everybody cross your fingers. Everybody cross your toes. Let's move up. Let's pull a Hawks. Let's get the number 1 pick.
What I know for a fact. If we somehow miraculously end up at the top of the heap and we get the number 1 in the Cooper flags, I will be able to hear you screaming from here. No electronics needed.
Yep.
Completely analog.
Yeah.
What's that sound? Well, that's Tim.
Yeah.
Are the Germans invading? No, that's Tim.
Yeah.
It's not an air raid siren. Don't look up.
I think you told the pod a couple years back if we got Wemby, you would be streaking naked down the street.
100%. And I keep that. If we somehow ended up with Wemby now, my pants are already gone. I mean, we're going.
I think getting Cooper flag. I think now you're in a Boston situation. Now you're like, we have our guys. Yeah. We're good. We'll root for these guys for the next 8 to 10 years.
As long as you can keep them.
Cooper's going to do the little just straight across bang haircut. He looks like he's going to his middle school, his high school prom. But he doesn't care because he's just a Maine kid looking to play.
Yeah.
You got him, the defensive identity is set. Like him, Tamani, Matisse, all these guys are just dogs. It's gonna be a nightmare to play.
Yeah.
He's actually like a really good passer.
Yeah.
And his shot's coming along.
Yeah, no, he's got a complete package. He's got a scary good package. And like I said, there's maybe 3 or 4 guys in that draft that I feel like are kind of surefire.
Matisse is going to talk to him about skincare.
Oh my God! Well, listen, can you imagine the housemate situation with him, Klingen, and Tumani? I mean, that's the reality show I'd want to see.
Yeah. They would purposely only put like 1 jar of peanut butter in an empty fridge.
100%.
And just be like, who's going to get there first?
100%.
Which would be a great Adams commercial. Like, hit us up. I got ideas for days. They really haven't.
For days.
They really haven't capitalized on the LeBron Bronny commercial situation.
I was thinking about that as I was going through the playoffs and seeing all the listen, I saw the worst commercial I've ever seen in my entire life. Yeah. And it's not helping me with my sort of feelings towards these kids in Oklahoma City. That Jurassic Park commercial with Shea. Where they call him like a Sheasaurus.
Oh, yeah. And he's like... Yeah.
And they've got him in the cutscenes of the new Jurassic Park movie, but he's like 100 feet tall.
This is why we have AI. Aren't you happy?
This is... Michael Jordan would never.
What commercial
Michael Jordan would never.
Well,
he probably would if the money was right.
If the money was fine. That one doesn't bother me as much as the Draymond one. Because, like, logistically, it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, you lose your basketball, so you get in the car and drive through a forest to find it.
Yeah.
And then you bring it back, and your daughter immediately throws it off the cliff again.
Yeah.
And you're like, where's the net?
What are you doing?
Where's the spare basketball?
This has clearly happened before.
It's happened multiple times.
When do you take your Kia and drive to the Home Depot and get some fencing?
There's a pack of rabid wolves out there. Why do you keep going out?
With your
daughter.
A horror movie. Yeah. That's my feelings about Draymond are complicated.
Now, let me put you in a thought experiment.
Okay.
You are an NBA player.
Okay.
You are a very famous NBA player.
Sure.
We see you playing basketball on TNT.
Okay.
We have close-up shots of you about to shoot a free throw. We see you have gray in your beard. We see you have a receding hairline.
Yeah.
And then we cut to a Kia commercial.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you have like the smoothed over AI look where everything's. No. I don't get it. Why do they do it?
No, I don't. I don't. Listen, I am not. I am losing my hair at a rapid pace, but I'm accepting it. Listen, it's going to get to a point where you just shave it and be done with it.
That's why I'm growing mine out. It's my last chance.
Young people. Listen, young people. Do all the cool hair shit now. Yeah. Any cool hair idea you have, do it. Yeah. It doesn't even matter. Do it now because you might not be able to do it later on. That's all I'm saying.
Do the uncool stuff.
Do all your cool hair stuff. Do
whatever you want.
Yeah.
Do the asymmetrical.
But what you don't do is get to a point where you can no longer do the cool hair stuff and then keep trying to do the cool hair stuff.
Listen, the hair you can't do hair stuff that also holds up while you're playing basketball. Yeah. There's just a continuity thing that just bothers me.
Yeah. Trae Young, I'm looking at you, pal. You gotta say goodbye. You can't.
Whoever does Trae Young's hair
should get a Nobel
Oscar,
Prize,
like a costume design.
There
award.
has never been a more unwilling subject than the fuzz on Trae Young's head, and they just keep trying.
It frankly looks pretty good, actually.
Well, no, I mean, for what they're working with,
it's amazing.
This is someone Tom Cruise recommended.
That is another name.
Oh, Trae Young?
Yeah.
You stay away from Trae Young. If you're Portland, you stay away. I like Trae Young. I'm high on Trae Young. I think Trae Young is great, and I think he's in a bad situation. And I think in the right situation, he'd be incredible. But
the Hawks are like, hey, Trae for Scoop.
Yeah, no, because Trae Young changes everything that you're building. Like you've built a team, and this is what I'm saying about like Giannis. You built. I mean, Giannis talent wise, I think you change directions of the ship for Giannis. But like this is a defensive first run team, and I just don't know if Trae's that a good fit for that. And I don't think he's got the talent to like carry a team all by himself.
Yeah, there's another niche Blazers podcast that I love called Lickety Brindle Up the Podcast, and he records like while he's like walking to his car and stuff. But he had this whole thing where he was talking about if you like overlay Scoot's stats and his age with other great players, like his trajectory is like straight up after because he's so young.
Yes.
So here's hoping.
Yeah, no, you keep.
Shout out to Lickety Brindle Up the Podcast.
Well, yeah, it's good. It's a good one. But yeah, all right, Scoot's fine. Just let Scoot cook.
Let him cook.
Let him cook. Let him marinate.
Well, if there's one thing we know about Chauncey is he lets people cook. Chauncey's like, don't trade Jeremy Grant.
No, he's my best player, guys. Keep him. Oh my God.
Shout out to Puma Distortion.
Shout out to Jeremy Grant. Playing 43 minutes again next season.
He is not going to be here next year.
Well, we can only hope. And I love Jeremy Grant.
I'm hoping for him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I want
Jeremy Grant on the Lakers. Great.
You love
Jeremy Grant on the Timberwolves.
If you love him, you want to let him go. And that's
Jeremy Grant on the Nuggets. Great. There is not a team in the playoffs that could not use Jeremy Grant.
That's 100% right.
That's maybe the Thunder. The Thunder, he might have some
The Thunder don't need anybody else.
Yeah, they're fine. All right.
Get this man some help.
Stop it. Get some help.
A Blazers podcast.
You didn't dress up. You said you were going to dress up.
Yeah, I know.